Hey, what's up, everyone? So today I got something very, very heavy and deep, powerful to share with you guys. From my years on being on this earth, we've heard what science have to say and we run with it. And we don't take in account what God has to say, right? So I'm going to share something with you. And I shared this video yesterday, but I want to take the opportunity, and I'm trying to get this set. I want to take the opportunity to basically share it with you again. I was trying to make this a fast video, but this can't be a fast video. I was trying to keep it underneath the minute. This has to be what it is type of video. And I'm relying on you guys at the end to share this video to as many Christians and people as possible to spread the power of God and the truth that defines science. And I'm honored for God to show me this, and I'm sharing it with you guys now. So take a second to watch this video to explain before I talk about what I'm about to talk about. And I shared this video in my last video, but there's so much that the Lord is sharing with me that I'm gonna have to share it again. Take a look.
Stop dancing around the question. What did you see in space?
Buddy, brother, friend, comrade. The world is not quite what movies have made it seem. People think you launch a rocket up into the atmosphere and just fly out into the abyss of infinite space. But this couldn't be farther from the reality. Once we go beyond a certain altitude and kind of reach the cusp of our atmosphere, we reach the same barrier time and time again. An impenetrably dense, translucent layer of concrete solid water, of which behind it appears to be a mysteriously dark body of infinite waters.
You heard the man, a dark body of infinite waters. Let's continue.
That we misinterpret as outer space. It would be through this abyss of water that we could assume the potential to travel to other existing worlds. But without a way through this firmament, we are restricted to fairly limited speculation. It appears as though whatever kind of a god or what have you that
The God is Jesus Christ.
did not intend for us to get through that barrier. In the meantime, however, CGI has made for a hell of an illusion of what lies beyond.
All right, so welcome back, guys. So what prompted me to discuss this? I'm sitting in the loft upstairs, and this was my view. And I basically was just thinking about the video that I made yesterday, and this kind of transpired for me to make this video now. Okay, so as I'm looking at the sky, so I was talking to God, and I try to do this thing, man, and I've been doing this for a while, and I think this is why God is sharing so many things with me. Is I try to get in the habit to pray 5 times every day, and I try to fast at least once a week. Not perfect, the 5 time every day, but the fasting sometimes I slip up, but I try to get in the habit of doing that on a consistent basis. And ever since I've been doing that, it's like the Lord has been sharing stuff with me. If you guys watch my video, in a way that I don't even understand sometimes, and I'm to the point where I'm less like, it's not for me to understand. But let's get into it. So as I'm looking in the sky, I'm like, it just hit me, like a dong moment. I was just like, oh wow, and I was like, oh wow, and this is where it's about to define what science says. So what we're seeing in the sky right now, it's essentially a big body of water. And we're trapped on Earth with the firmament that protects us in that body of water and that body of water. And we're trapped in this pretty much in the middle of a big body of water, right? And the Bible speaks about it. And you see the biggest atheist in my video speaks very heavily to the fact that we know what's his God. We don't have to, and he's basically saying what you heard he said, that some God is preventing us to leave this earth. And he said there's a big body of water. This guy has ventured off way more, or he just went on an excursion that me and you can't do. We can't go. We can't explore. We can't be a part of. So we trust what he says because these are scientific uh, excursions that he's done and that he's speaking of that correlates heavily with what the Bible says, even though yet he still defies Jesus Christ as his God. So if we look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 6 through 8, it says, the Bible describes God's creating a space between the waters, separating the waters from each other, and calling space sky. Okay? So it says, I read again. The Bible describes God creating a space between the waters, separating the waters from each other, calling the space above sky. Verse 6, God said, let there be a huge space between the waters, let it separate the water from water, the firmament, earth. Verse 7, and that's exactly what happened. God made the huge space between the waters. He separated the waters that was under the space, the water that was above it. The firmament separates that, okay? Verse 8, God called the huge space sky. There was evening and there was morning, and it was day 2. So, what science has been teaching us has been incorrect. And I believe God brought it to my attention to let you guys share this information. It doesn't stop there, okay? So then I asked God, I said, okay, Lord, you just shared all that with me. So if that big body of water, so how does the cloud form? Um, how does a cloud form, God? I'm asking because I'm like, so is the water above causing it to create clouds and we had it all wrong? And he explained it to me. He said, no, check this out. The firmament creates a way for us to function in a big way. It creates light like a magnifying glass, right? It heats up, gives us light, and everything else. And I know I'm all over the place. I'm trying to explain this as best as I can because it's overwhelming for me because it just downloaded it on me. And anyways, you can see I'm all over the place now. So the firmament and the sun creates a magnifying glass that heats up everything on Earth, that sheds light for us to see for daytime. And the heat, which is like a magnifying glass, just came to me now. Thank you, Lord. In the wilderness, when they trying to purify water, they use a bottle, a magnifying glass type thing to create droplets to create fresh water. Okay, but in this case, the magnifying glass creates is droplets that goes up into the clouds because those droplets form attaches onto salts and dust particles and everything else. And when it goes up into the sky, it creates a, excuse me, I'm drinking some water. It goes up in the sky and it creates clouds, which then gets trapped on the firmament. And what happens with anything that gets trapped in a glass bottle or round cubes as it turns as the earth turns, those clouds are moving on the firmament, which moves around the entire world, which creates everything else for us to farm because as those particles it builds up and explodes, it creates rain and everything else. Science, you had it right, but you just missed a key factor. Okay, and then I said, Lord, so do you mean when we have day and night, the body of water that we're trapped that the Bible explained to us, does that help cool things down? So he was basically said to me, and bro, this was what's being said to me. This is deep. So he basically said it's like an air condition. The body of water conducts as an air condition that cools Earth down during the day, during nighttime. So as the Earth spins to go to night, that body of water that we're trapped outside cools because what happens when you're trapped in the body of water? It's cool until something conducts and warms it up, right? So it spins And when it's nighttime, it cools the earth just enough so we can survive and function on this earth. And I'm like, well, Lord, you're telling me the earth spins. So how does the earth spins if we're trapped in the body of water? I mean, then he explained to me and said, this is what happens when you live a life of Christ and you ask these questions for him to teach you. He uses you to teach you in a way that you can share this information. And I'll continue before I start ranting on that. So he said, son, I said, okay, picture a round ball in a body of water that, I don't know, like a bucket. And he said, if you stick your finger in that body of water and you turn it, that ball is going to turn the way of the water is going. So he says, what I did, there's a current of water that's flowing around the earth that spins it gently enough for it to spin to create day and night. Deep. Day and night. And he says, I did that so you guys will have a way to sleep, farm, and to cool the earth down with the body of water that's surround the earth so you guys can survive. And I was like blown back by the fact that many of us have read this same chapter for years. And I've never once heard a pastor or a preacher or a science talks about what I'm talking about right now. And then I watched the video with Elon Musk describing what he has conducted in his science experiment at a level that we can't do. And it leads you to think, yet we sit here and say there's no God. When this Bible was written thousands of years ago. And the science and technology that we have right now is talking about exactly what was said in Genesis 1. Genesis 1. With what science is now saying we're trapped in. Isn't God amazing? Isn't God amazing? But yet we deny him. You name another religion that speaks on what's happening, that speaks what the earth is trapped in, that speaks how earth turns into day and night and how everything conducts. But yet you guys sit and say there's no God. Yet you guys serve other gods. And yet you guys become God yourself. When the Holy Bible, Jesus Christ, tells us how all this works. But yet we sit as scientists and say, according to my calculations, the earth sits on the atlas and it spits on the jerk. Yeah, baloney. No, it doesn't. You sold this baloney for years. And the Lord had me to expose it all, to explain his credit to how the earth works. You guys, share this video, like this video, and if you're true believers of Christ, let everyone see this video. I'm out.